I'm not even going to pretend like I'm not mad about week 8. You could yell, you could cuss, you could scream, you could just do all the things, but for what? I do have a little bit of joy though. Who took the championship round for this week 8 recap? It would be your girl. We'll talk about the wins and losses and all in between on today's episode.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download, subscribe to the pod on our YouTube page. Always talk to us in our community section and more. So, always a good time for you to hear what we have to say when it comes to our week 8, week 9, week 35 recaps. But more than that, you get to hear our live reactions sometimes when we hit that live button on YouTube. So don't miss out by subscribing. Leave 5 stars on Apple Pods and more. Kenton is here. We're here to talk week 8, 5 games to review, but 5 good ones nonetheless. A lot of up and downs. Fans and Kenton didn't do great, but honestly, neither did I. So we'll talk about all of that here on today's show. Kenton, how was the weekend?
I'm just glad I didn't do an offer. I was real close. I was close. Way to go, Knowles. Way to keep me in the win column, because boy, I tell you, I was taking plenty of L's in there. I mean, rectangles didn't contain as many L's as I was taking this weekend, so it's all right. It's all right. We made it through.
It happens to the best of us, right? So I think overall we were, really excited about where we felt like certain teams could go. We were really down on certain teams who came out and surprised us at the end of the day. That's why you play the game. You can predict all day long, but you always have to give yourself an opportunity to put your toe in the line, put your hand in the dirt, and make a shake.
Honestly, there are certain teams I'm very disappointed in, and we're going to get to them. We're going to get to it because there's some teams with some things we need to speak about.
Well, let's not waste any time, right?
Let's get to it.
We don't even have to go in chronological order today, because I think let's just get to the meat, right? Let's
put it on the floor. What Lotto say? Put it on the floor. Put it on the floor right now.
Put a ribbon on them. They've been acting brand new. Virginia decided that they wanted to go ahead and be the team that everyone thought they would never be. And, why not do that in Chapel Hill on a Saturday night? Every time it's October, it gets really scary for North Carolina and a very bad Virginia team. And, I've witnessed on the quest to go undefeated, North Carolina lose to a 2-win Virginia program, but this time it was in Chapel Hill and it was a 1-win Virginia program, arguably the worst loss in program history, because they were 2 double-digit favorites to win that team in Chapel Hill. Yep, my alma mater. They lost 31-27. They got punched in the mouth first quarter, start to finish. Right? Tony Muskett said, "I'm going to playing." Everybody played above their heads, but the craziest part of it all is Virginia did everything to give it away.
They did.
You threw interceptions in the end zone. You get a touchback when it's the fourth quarter. Like, you got Drake May moving that ball down the field. But damn it, Nate McCombs, we got to have to come with Jesus, Nate. We got to have a hard look in the mirror. Josh Niles ain't walking through that door, and it was apparently so. It's just, I don't even know where to begin. I can't even be mad. But it's giving Syracuse last season, where you won 6 in a row, and now the back half is just might just get you.
Tony said it never rains in Southern California, but it's gonna rain touchdowns in Chapel Hill, because boy, they were on a tear. They were on a tear, and I hate to bring this back up, because of course we hate talking about this when you talk about Virginia. Mr. Mike Hollins. Yeah. One of the victims of the shooting last year. Not 1, not 2, but 3 of them things. 3 of them things to pull off this upset. I'll tell you what. I don't like being wrong. Absolutely hate that. Don't like that. Don't enjoy that at all. But if I'm going to be wrong, if somebody is going to make me wrong, in this instance, if I'm wrong believing in UNC, if I'm wrong betting against Mike Hollins and he puts up 3 tutties. If I'm wrong, going against Tony Elliott and he's going to be the top 10 team in baby blue, damn it, I don't want to be right. I don't want to be right.
Very dramatic, but here you are. I think that multiple things can be true, right? North Carolina was never a top 10 team. Mm-hmm. Okay. That defense was very much flawed, always has been, damn near always will be.
Right.
Drake May picked a perfect weekend to stink, right? Because so did Caleb Williams. So, like, if we're talking about, like, what were we about to say? What were we about to come off and say?
Oh, I was nothing.
Were you going to say Drake didn't stink? Because I want you to, I hope you.
I'm going to let you cook.
Did Drake stink? He stunk.
No, I wasn't going to say did he stink. I wasn't going to say did he stink. I wasn't going to say that.
Because he stunk. He stunk.
No.
Overthrowing guys, playing like he just threw as if he was just nervous. Like he ain't been here before.
He hasn't been there before.
What are you saying? He's been down.
North Carolina's been a top 10 team in his lifetime?
Not even. I don't even think it's about the ranking because you've been ranked before, but to play a 1-5 team,
he hasn't been there before. The lights got too bright.
You think the lights got too bright against a Virginia program?
The lights got too bright.
Lights. I wouldn't put that on Drake at all. I feel like Mac Brown and the boys need to have a hard look in that coaching mirror, and Mac need to go ahead and get in that booth and go ahead and get into that ESPN analyst section.
Those lights was a little too bright.
Explain it. Stop saying that and explain it.
What do you mean explain it? You just said he threw the ball like he was nervous. What is there to be nervous about? You playing one of the worst teams in the league. The lights are too bright. You were not ready to have expectations on you. You were prepared to be the guy that everybody said, oh, he should win the Heisman, but Caleb's here. Oh, he should win the Heisman, but Trent's here. He should win the Heisman, but J.J. McCarthy is playing well. And in the prime moment, for you to have a Heisman moment against one of the worst defenses in not just the league, in all of the Power 5, what do you do? What did he do, Candace? What did he do?
But my thing is, like, is it his fault that his team decided to abandon the run? Is it his fault that his receivers decided to drop passes? Like I think multiple things can be true.
Now, wait a minute. You just was about to jump down my throat when you thought I was saying, did he play poorly? And now it's, multiple people.
I think That's my point. It's a collective stink.
Yeah, it was a collective stink.
It was a team-wide stink.
It was
you let Virginia hang 31 on you? Boy, walk home.
It was a collective stink. However, with that being said, the average points per game in the ACC is about where Virginia scored. That's about it. That's average.
But
the lowest scoring team in the league. The lowest scoring team in the league is Virginia. They average 22.3 points per game. Even if they hit their average, they only would have lost by 1 touchdown. Even if they hit their average, which is the worst in the league. If they hit the median in the league, which they did, they win this game. Which leads me to look at the offense, which got everybody named mama. Listen, I know Roy Cooper on the phone right now talking to the ACC officials. Can we overturn this game? I know the AG is saying it got to be a way we can work this thing out. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, this game, the lights were too bright. And I'll say this. The lights were too bright for Drake. They were too bright for Mac. They were too bright for Tez. They were too bright for the Cedric Gray. They were too bright for everybody. It wasn't one person that the lights were too bright for. This UNC team was not ready to be in prime time, period.
But they've been in prime time. That's why I'm not understanding. So you're really saying it's the ranking? Because I don't understand.
Yes,
how it can be that. Why does that matter? Why does that matter for you in your head? If you know who you are as a program, why does that matter?
You got to ask them, not me. I come in with championship expectations. That's the type of guy I am. You can ask my ex-girlfriend. She had to literally take me on dates to do things I was bad at so I could accept and learn to lose. That's the type of guy I am. So I don't know why the lights were too bright for them. I don't know why they showed up and didn't expect to be the Broad Street bullies and beat up on everybody in front of them. I don't know. I wish I had an answer for you. But the lights were too bright for that team in baby blue, period.
I've never seen a better choke job. I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah. And the thing is, here's the other thing about it. A lot of people would like to say, hey, Virginia played their best game. And
they did. They did.
They didn't.
That was
multiple turnovers in the red zone. Multiple.
Okay, you know
They
what?
had a back
We have
fumble.
Virginia fans who watch the show, so I'm not gonna be rude and disrespectful.
No.
But
Let's
they
be
played
honest.
above their heads. They played above their heads on Saturday.
Virginia is the worst team in the ACC. We can agree to that.
By a mile.
However, they did not play some flawless, spectacular game where it's
I
like,
didn't say
oh,
they didn't
Tony
try and give
Muskett
the
is
game
hitting.
away.
Yeah,
I didn't say they didn't try and give the game away, but they still play. But that's the thing. Standing like Superman, when you get after you get a 2-point convert, like, bruh, they've had multiple opportunities where they're consistently good at stinking. So it ain't like this was like one where they're like, oh, we're gonna stink, but still, like, they played insane for them.
Yeah.
But UNC also played very bad.
Yeah, I agree. It was both. It was both. At the end of the day, you look at what Tony Muskett did. He was not a world beater. You look at that offense as a whole, other than Malik Washington, who has shown us. Now, you can say what you want about that team. You can say whatever you want about that team. Malik Washington, baby, that's a first-team All-ACC guy right there. That's a first-team All-ACC receiver, and ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. At worst, second-teamer. Because he is that offense for long stretches of games. And you're going to tell me that the lights weren't too bright for a team when they had 2 red zone turnovers and still found a way to win this game.
I've seen this story before from North Carolina. Nothing surprises me. And damn it, if your back half ain't finna be ugly, it just got uglier. All right. Fit for all times, so you can drink anytime, anywhere, and make an activity even more enjoyable. You got to try Athletic Brewing Company. No hangovers ever. You can find Athletic in-store, online, and at bars around the country. They're fast-growing, non-alcoholic brewery in the U.S., so get on board. Make sure that you try Athletic Brewing Company today. You can find Athletic Brewing Company's non-alcoholic brews at a store near you or buy online at athleticbrewing.com. First-time customers can use code LOCKEDON to get 15% off your first online order. Near beer, exclusions and conditions apply. That's LOCKEDON at checkout for 15% off at athleticbrewing.com. Athletic Brewing Company is fit for all times. Kenton Gibbs and I talking through week 8, could not stop and get right into the one and the only North Carolina getting upset. Top 10 North Carolina getting upset by Virginia, the worst team in the ACC by a damn mile. Power rankings are going to be so fun this week. Can't wait.
In the words of fellow Detroiter Bart Scott, can't wait.
Let's get to another upset if we could. Right. Yeah. Miami. Yeah. Hello, Miami. In a season that could have shifted in multiple ways, both 2 4-2 teams, right, whose programs desperately needed wins for multitude of reasons, right? Yeah. They were down there in Coral Gables. Clemson showed up, did the best they could with what they got, but it came down to overtime. And the Hurricanes were able to pull it off with a backup quarterback, which, film is film, and you don't really have much of it on a backup quarterback. But nonetheless, no Tyler Van Dyke, no problem for the Canes. Got to give it up to their defense for holding court at home. And many people say, like, it's not really a home field advantage for them. But it was Dabo Swinney sort of, I don't know the word, heaving K-Club under the bus when talking about playmaking and decision making that makes you say there's a lot going on over there in Clemson, South Carolina.
I'm going to touch y'all's shoulder when I say this.
You love y'all know what that
means. And y'all know what that means, okay? K. Klubnik has the football intelligence of a squirrel on crack.
Oh, Lord, have mercy, Jesus.
I don't say that lightly. Clemson fans should be begging, hoping, wishing, praying for DJU to graduate and come back or something along those lines, because this is embarrassing.
So why do you say that he has that?
Oh,
I just had to hope so, because let me get the examples.
Florida State, 3rd and 1, backs averaging 5 yards a carry. You pull it and throw a bubble screen.
You ain't never gonna let that play go, child.
Oh, nor should I. Let's move forward from there, shall we? This game, 2 plays that were absolutely inexcusable. Okay. One of which was only allowed to happen because the ref screwed the pooch so royally. I look at this play and I would have said, if Miami loses this game, they can look at this play and they can actually blame the officials, and I wouldn't be mad at them. End of the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Clemson's backed up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say it about inside their own 6 or 7, somewhere in there.
Mm-hmm.
They're in shotgun. Cade Klubnik gets the ball. Now, for whatever reason, they're not running the ball. He drops back. He's on about the 1.5 yard line. Miami gets pressure up the middle. There's only but a few seconds left in the first half. You have to know your heels are on the end zone. Go down if you feel pressure. Fall forward, tuck the ball, go down. Miami calls the timeout. Mm-hmm. Y'all, do a little tush push, get a yard, go to halftime. Mm-hmm. That's what you got to know as a quarterback. Not Mr. Klubnik. No, not Mr. Klubnik. He's a special boy, isn't he? He's a special boy. What does he do? Backs up into the end zone. And to me, what looked very clearly like a safety, and for those of y'all who don't know, again, I love being right. I would love to say, oh, Clemson got screwed out of this like one other team got screwed out of their game, but we'll get to it. Mm-hmm. I would love to say that, but this special boy, he got them a safety. It should have been 9-7. It should have been 9-7 Miami going into halftime, period. Mm-hmm. Period. Mm-hmm. But with that being said, instead, the refs call it down on the half-yard line. Clemson runs their play. They go down. And then I think, all right, well, at least he's learned his lesson. There's nothing worse. He can't do nothing worse. The last play of the game, he pulls the ball.
Oh, Lord.
He pulls the ball, and he tries to outrun Mr. Flag to the end zone. Because, everybody told him he's a special boy. Everybody's so creative. You're so fast. You're so fast, Cade. Nobody can.
No, everyone told him he's sneaky athletic.
No. They talk about, when you hear people talk about Cade, everybody says he's a track runner, He's a runner. He's a track star. He's a track star. He's going to run away and break that Clemson heart because that's what he's been doing all year long. Dabo, I don't care if anybody says Dabo threw him under the bus because you know what? Cade, sit your happy ass down and make the play that's drawn up to make. Give the ball to Will Shipley there.
Okay, so it is Cade's fault.
Yeah, 1,000%.
So you bench him, you tell him, "Nah, we ain't do it. This ain't how it's finna roll." How do you rectify moving forward? Someone who clearly knows how to, I don't know, pull audibles.
So here's the thing. Mm-hmm. I don't bench him for this reason. He's a true sophomore, correct? Mm-hmm. I'm okay with a young guy making those types of mistakes. But I do the same thing to Dabo. Well, I wouldn't tell people publicly that he pulled that and he shouldn't have. I don't do that. Mm-hmm. But when we get in that meeting room, I point him out on tape and I say, hey, everybody, y'all see this guy? Y'all see what's happening here? Now, Cade, what was the play? Zone right, coach. Okay, zone right. Now, did we tag or read onto that? No, coach. So why'd you read it? Don't answer that. Do y'all see what happens? And then flip to the next slide where he's being tackled and we lose the game and say, do y'all see what happens when we don't play Clemson football? This is hero ball. This is BS. This is what gets us beating other teams because their players don't know how to play into their system and win the game. Now, Cade, I promise you, if you want to go over to Iowa, you can do that all day long. You want to go over to South Carolina, you can do it all day long. You want to go over to Arizona State, you want to go over to Cal, you can do that all day long. You want to go back home to Texas? I heard SMU may have a quarterback opening sometime soon. I'm not sure. I could be wrong, but you can go back there and do that all day long. But here at Clemson, you're going to follow what the hell we tell you to do. And we're going to win games like that or we're going to lose games like that. And that way I can take the blame for you. I can take the blame and I can own that as a man. But this will get you benched.
Let's give pride, though, to Miami, who, you definitely don't have your starting quarterback.
With a backup QB to play the way they did, yeah.
You're down by 10 in the fourth to a team that historically knows how to beat your ass and give it to you, take you to the woodshed.
Yeah.
You got a team that's desperate to win another conference game because they know losing 3 puts them all but out of the ACC championship game. Yeah. I mean, officially done.
Yeah, they're done.
I would say.
They're done. Yeah, they're done.
They're desperate to be ranked. They were close in last week, so now that's kapooey. But, credit to that Miami defense for, really figuring out ways to win and ways to make stops when it mattered.
I'm going to tell you this. Miami, Mario Cristobal ought to, if he can find a way, get some more NIL deals for that backup quarterback, because that boy saved your behind. Because if you would have had two losses back to back, one off the non-nil, and then at the end of regulation, for you to have the ball and just kind of mosey around and just,
the clock management was terrible.
When your wide receivers have been dunking on their DBs all day long. I mean,
help the church, Lord.
Let me tell you something. I ain't seen the Kobe go that crazy in a one-on-one situation since the young man that wore 24 for the Lakers. You understand? And yet you decide, we'll just tuck it in and go to overtime. We'll be fine. Again, he's lucky because, again, that one loss turns into two turns into three, and two of them are directly on you in that big of a way. Boy, I tell you.
There's a lot for both teams as they head into playing NC State for Clemson and playing Virginia, who's now high on themselves, Miami, but both teams seem to be high on themselves. So we'll see how that all matriculates and, unfolds. But would like to talk about our friends here at PrizePicks. We all know that, we didn't have great pick'ems this week, but, sometimes all you got to do is just give yourself an opportunity. And that's what we'll do here with our friends. PrizePicks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They're the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than or less than 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code lockedoncollege for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code lockedoncollege for a first deposit match up to $100. PrizePicks is daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, here we got a couple more games that weren't as jump off the page, but still good nonetheless. Riley Leonard begged and pleaded and did everything he could to get back in that game, but should he have even played at all? Only time will tell. Duke Blue Devils did what they could, went down to Tallahassee, came up short 38-20 against the Seminoles. But for what we're trying to be as a conference, we can't even be mad at Florida State picking up the dub.
What a time. What a game, if you will.
Was this
only one of the week, if you will.
Only win of the week for you and the fans. Yes, I did pick Miami to win. You guys picked Clemson. Now, Duke with Riley Leonard made this fun.
Yeah, they were actually leading before Riley Leonard went down.
Duke with Henry made this tough.
If only someone had said that Henry Beelan can't spin it, people might have called that person a hater, if you will. People might have said, you're sour grapes because he beat your team, despite the fact that, again, the young man went 4-12 in that game. But
you got to give credit to the run game for Duke, right? If you had passed the
physical team.
Had you passed the rock, but eventually, you get snuffed out. It's a momentum. It was a momentum shift for Riley go down. He begged again, Coach Elko to go back in the game. Coach said, listen, you got bigger things to worry about, which he absolutely does, right? 100%. You got a huge Louisville game. You've got a North Carolina game. You've got a lot of things as there's still ACC championship conversations happening for your program. We'll take this L. You're still a ranked team, but that's, not really it. Florida State got the win. Johnny Wilson sacrificed. Jared Verse in the defense wasn't great. It wasn't great.
Listen. Lord knows I love me some Jared Verse. Love that boy down. Love him down.
Wasn't great.
Jared, when they put you in that B gap, you got to make yourself some more money, young man.
On ABC at that in prime time against Duke.
When they put you in that B gap, you got to be ready. The way that Graham Barton was moving you up out of there, player, don't get me wrong. You made some big plays. You showed up. You're going to be a top 5 draft pick, or at least you should be. You got the talent to be a top 5 draft pick. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. You got.
I might be calling for Graham the way I've seen some of these NFL teams play today.
Oh, absolutely.
I definitely feel like
Graham is a bad boy. That's a bad boy.
And is.
When I talk about that offensive line being physical, When I say physical, the first two guys I think about are Barton and Monk. Those are two.
Yep.
They
gotta earn every rep. Yeah.
You watch the tape and they just pound on you, beat on you, pound on you. And so with that being said, again, I said, regardless of the score, it's going to be an ice bath game if you play Duke. Give them all their props, give them all they got. They got to give them their respect. With that being said, at some point in time, you have to find a semblance of a passing game. And honestly, they had it when Riley Leonard was in, but Riley Leonard was making some throws. I'll tell you this. Riley Leonard made himself some money in this game.
Indeed.
Off platform, can't push off his foot, and still throwing dimes and dots around that field.
100%.
Before he went down, that was a Heisman moment type game. If that game proceeds to go 100%. On how it was when he was in, and that's a Heisman moment for him. They're going to win it 40-34, and he continues to play how he played. Oh, that's a Heisman moment. No ifs and buts about it. However, if ifs and buts were berries and nuts, squirrels would never starve. We live in the real world, and he should have been in that game.
1,000%. But I feel like the person's going to get, if we're going to give anybody a phone call to go to New York, it's got to be Keon Coleman. It's got to be Keon.
The boy is different. The boy,
like the catches that he made.
6'4" returning punts. What are we doing here?
First of all, Deuce Vaughn is ridiculous.
What are we?
Ridiculous. The one he ran back. You literally get a pick six only to do a run back. Spawn just why,
Yeah.
Just why?
Yeah.
It's not fair how many weapons Florida State has. And even with Johnny Wilson going down, you still have Bell, you still have Benson, you still have Toa Feely, you still have Coleman, name them. You got them.
And that's the part that's crazy about this team. You would think to yourself, it was going to be Wilson and it was going to be Coleman, and that's how they were going to move the ball. That's how they were going to beat this team, yada, yada, so on and so forth. That wasn't the case at all. This game started off, the tight ends were the only ones rolling for Florida State. That was it. If it wasn't the tight ends, they wasn't getting nothing going. And honestly, in that game, Duke did a great job on Keon Coleman as well. Even though there were multiple passes from Jordan Travis. Come on now, hit your man. But with that being said, I'm sitting up here saying to myself, man, is Bell always open or what? Can we get somebody to potentially check Jaheim Bell, if you will? Man, Markston Douglas, 280 pounds. And by the way, that's a generous 280. But that brother was always open as well underneath. And I'm sitting here asking myself, how under God's green earth is Duke going to win this game if they keep letting these two get open underneath? And lo and behold, when Riley goes down, their offense has to keep up now, or their offense has to find a way to generate something now. And Florida State can pin their ears back and say, hey, forget about the pass. Well, if they can beat us with the pass, they'll beat us with the pass. But we're giving everything we got to stop Waters and company. And that's what they did.
I just feel like, if anything, if we're having man in the mirror conversations, it's got to be about that O-line for FSU. Got to tighten it up because we got bigger things, bigger fish. And yes, we got over the Duke roadblock, but there's still a lot more coming this season.
Can I tell you something? Mm-hmm. I don't think they're going to see a better defensive line all year than what they saw against Duke. Maybe Miami. Miami. That's fair. But Duke's defensive line, they got defensive tackles out the wazoo. They got defensive tackles that can move. They got some wiggle to them. You know what I mean? I'll tell you, that's a special group.
And they ain't getting no podunk degree. They're getting a degree from Duke, so they ain't dummies. If you love defense, Duke's defense is very exciting to watch. For those who are like, I haven't checked out Duke all season, there you go.
They're a great watch. If you love defense, great watch.
Extremely great watch. Let's finish up here with Boston College and Georgia Tech, Pitt and Wake Forest. Boston College picking up a big win against Georgia Tech in Atlanta. So they're about to play a North Carolina team that's pissed off. They're pissed off because they should have won at home against a Boston College team. So, Georgia Tech head scratching. Why? Just you had more horse in the stable and still it just wasn't your day. We talk about, really good catch, a pick six, if you will, from Boston College's defense. And, Castellanos doing his thing. It's just, we're high on the Eagles right now. They want to save Hafley's job. They feel like Hafley should stay.
Let's start here. Credit to Georgia Tech for fighting for Hafley. Credit to Georgia Tech for turning their season. I'm sorry. Credit to Boston College, not Georgia Tech.
I was like,
credit
they did
Boston
everything
College.
they could to make
Credit
sure.
to Boston College for turning their season around because this thing hadn't looked good. Now, Coach Key, Georgia Tech. I'll tell you what. This is like Georgia Tech is like a woman in a relationship with a man that don't know what he's doing in bed. They just can't finish to save their lives. They cannot finish to save their lives.
Help yourself. You had to get the joke off. You had
it's
to.
The truth.
It's
the
truth.
truth.
They're the lady prison. Go ahead, get it off.
It's the truth.
Go ahead.
It's the truth. Every time those boys fade and wilt and perish down the stretch like I have never seen. Game after game after game.
They didn't do it against Miami, but go ahead.
Yes, they did. They did. Let's be honest. I mean, am I lying, Candace? Did they not fade down the stretch? Should Miami have won that game by any? If that's 100, there are 100 and I believe 35 FBS teams. If that's 134 other teams, do they win that game?
No, absolutely not.
Okay. So, with that being said, again, what's going on, Georgia Tech? What are you doing, Georgia Tech? Talk to me.
It's Key's first year as head coach.
No, and I understand that, but for him to do this again, we saw this first game of the season against Louisville. For him to do this again, we saw this against Ole Miss. That Ole Miss game was fairly close. The game was 10-3 at halftime, and then you allowed 38 points in the second half, 24 in the fourth quarter. We saw this again and again.
Don't say it again no more. Don't say it again no more. You reach your again quota.
Well, can I say this? Who won the second half in the Bowling Green game, Candace?
Bowling Green.
Yeah, Bowling Green, 21 points in the third quarter. So I don't care how many times I say again, how many times are they going to allow it to happen again? That's all I want to know.
I thought this is coming from a hurt place because you believed in him.
I did. And I'm going to tell you this much. Y'all, Candace is a better person than me. I'm going to say this right now on there for everybody here. Candace Cooper is a better human being than Kenton Gibbs because she got tricked by Hafley a couple years ago. You know what she did? She just took it. She just said, hey, he got me. I'm wrong. I ain't like that. Coach Key, you got to have a conversation with me, brother. We got to get on the phone. We got to talk.
But Hafley's turning it around for me. We had to come to Jesus. I've been in my closet about Hafley. Come on, Lord, please. Just get him that W so we can get this thing back on. And he been figuring it out. The Fighting Hafleys, they want that coach to stay.
Well, if somebody been praying for Key, that prayer ain't getting no higher than the ceiling. That prayer ain't getting no higher than the ceiling.
It's not the roof. Let's end it with this. Wake Forest, homecoming. How you like me now? Pitt, that's a piss poor way to lose, my dog. What a terrible way to lose. Value, whatever, Christian.
And I'm going to say this as a Detroiter because a lot of people like to tell the joke that haha, it's one of the only major cities in America where Canada is to the north of you. To the south of you. Let me tell y'all this right now. I don't trust no Canadians when they come to this here football game. I don't trust no Canadians when they come to this here football. Villieu, we talk about low IQ players. We talked about Cade Klubnik earlier, sophomore. Villieu, also a sophomore, another low IQ play. Villieu, if you run out of bounds and you get that first down, my preference would have been for him to dive for it because there's nobody near you. You're not going to get hit. It's going to be a clean dive. You can put the ball past the marker. Let that be that. But isn't it so funny? Isn't it so interesting? Isn't it so karmic, if you will, for the team who did the fake slide against Wake Forest to now see a slide be the reason that they lose? Did not tell y'all. I don't know how many times, and I guess we got to do 2 shoulder touches in one episode. I'm going to touch your shoulder when I say this. Stop letting ACC officials decide the game.
Come on, somebody.
If you have the ability to run out of bounds,
help the church.
Hey, we got the first down. I ran out of bounds. They don't have timeouts to stop the clock. We won. Again, my preference would have been to dive, stay in bounds, reach back. But even if you run out of bounds, you still got it. But instead, you slide. You slide. And I'm going to tell you this. Narduzzi, I'm looking at you a little funny in the light too, because on that 4th and 1, I don't care if they got a third string guy. I don't care if they got a third string quarterback. 4th and 1 in that situation, If I feel like they just took this thing away from me and the ball don't lie, get in there, do a tush push. Quarterback, sneak.
There was a lot of bravery. There was a lot of bravery this weekend. A lot of fourth down effort. Let's go for it.
Hello?
There was a lot of that this weekend.
Norvell
Virginia, I'm still looking at you. I'm Mac. I can't get over it. But yeah.
Norvell was saying 4th and 4, let's roll it. Let's do it.
Hello. There's a lot of fourth and vibes. So yeah, I get that.
Narduzzi, the fact that you didn't get in on the 4th and vibes is why you lost this game. You had half a yard to go. And instead of simply saying, I trust my offensive line. Hey, listen, we're going to get in here. We're going to get this. Y'all are going to give me half a yard. We're going to get right church and let's go home.
And that's all we need to say on that. Syracuse, y'all lucky you had no game. NC State, lucky y'all had a bye. Louisville, y'all lucky y'all had a bye because the strays that could have been caught this weekend after all that we have seen. We had a top 10 team go down, and we're just trying to get one in the college football playoffs. Lord, amen.
All I'm saying is I keep hearing UNC fans say NC State barely beat Virginia, and I'm like, the operative word is beat. That's the operative word.
You couldn't help yourself, and that's all right. And that's all right. Well, y'all, make sure you check out our power rankings tomorrow. You know, it's the weekly show where everyone gets a little bit upset in their feels. All I know is, I'm gonna tell you right now, North Carolina fans, y'all been going real hard at us every single week that y'all need to be number one. Y'all need to be ahead of them. Don't say a mumbling word, okay? And that's why I went overtime, just to let y'all know I'm looking you right in the camera. Don't say a mumbling word about our rank. If y'all lucky that I don't put y'all at 14 off the strength, I don't think y'all should be in the top 25, but we could talk about it.
I wouldn't object if you want to put them at 14. I'm going to be mad at you, you know.
The polls for next week are up. Y'all can go ahead and put your votes in now. There's a lot of great matchups, a lot of pissed off teams, a lot of teams that need to have a come to Jesus. Either way it goes, make sure you get your votes in. How are we looking, Ken, before we get out of here?
All righty. Give me my theme music. Anywho, that was another team that was on the bye this week, by the way.
Praise God.
After this week, we are looking at the current standings. Candace had the best week of everybody. She was the top performer of all of us.
Barely. With
2 and 3. I and the fans both went 1 and 4. But the overall records now stand at Candace, 49 and 22. Myself at 52 and 19. And the fans with a 1-game advantage over me, 53 to 18. So.
There's so many great games happening in week 9 that
don't worry about it.
We can even this out.
I'm gonna get my Louis Duffel.
We can even this out. It starts on Thursday.
When I tell you I'm going to be in the Louis Duffel, by the way, get your votes in now. Get your votes in now, folks, because we are going to be we're not taking no votes beyond Thursday for those games.
Wednesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're not taking any votes beyond Wednesday. Whatever y'all voted with is locked in. But I'm going to tell you, I don't like going 1 for nothing. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I'm coming back with a vengeance.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. Come back tomorrow for Power Rankings for Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs. Until next time.